So this person tagged me in a post responding to both Kathy's Indie Zone and me retweeting her or reposting her post on YouTube about Bryan not being Pappa Rodger. And this Go-Go Goat is claiming that if you look at the December 9th post, a person comments and calls out the name Bryan, and they also spelled the name correctly on 12/9 of 2022. And then Bryan skips town on the 12th, late on the 13th, yada, yada, yada. So they are asking me, how does this person know Bryan's name clear back on December 9th if Pappa Rodgers isn't Bryan? So I'm going to show that response to Pappa Rodgers was actually not on the 9th. It was made after Bryan was arrested and everybody knew the name of the suspect. This all entails looking at a calendar. So you'll see this post from Pappa Rodger was done on December 3rd, 2022. And this is a reply to that December 3rd post. And you notice that it said it was posted 34 weeks ago. That's because when the person took the screenshot, I'm assuming it was J is for Justice since it was her video you were using. She took this screenshot 34 weeks after that comment had been made. So approximately in July of 2023, she did the screenshots. And so 34 weeks puts that at that week of December 3rd where the original post was made. So here's a December 2022 calendar, and I've highlighted that week that the 3rd fell on. So any comments that were made that day or that same week ending on the 3rd there, Saturday the 3rd, when it was screenshot are going to show that they had been made 34 weeks previously. Now let's move on to another comment. So now we're moving to a post that Pappa Rodger made on December 9th. So 6 days later, because that other one was done on December 3rd. This is on December 9th. And we're going to look at a comment that was made on that post that same, I believe the same day, but it could have been the same week also. And we will look at what it's showing for the amount of weeks when it was screenshot. And this was Pappa Rodger actually replying to his own post to all the people that had commented, saying lots of good thoughts here. Notice what I highlighted. 33 weeks ago. Okay, so things that were posted that week that ended on December 3rd showed 34 weeks at the time it was screenshot. Anything posted the next week showed 33 weeks instead of 34 weeks. So let's take a look at the calendar again. So here's the calendar for the week that those comments were made on. So December 9th. So those were showing as being 33 weeks old when they were screenshot. Now let's move on. So here's a post from Pappa Rodger that is the following week. So December 14th, 2022. So 5 days later. And let's look at some of the responses to that post. So notice on the reply, how long do you think? It's 32 weeks at the time it was screenshot. And Pappa Rodger also answers. Also shows 32 weeks ago. So we'll go back and look at our calendar again, and hopefully you can see where this is going. So Pappa Rodger posted that comment on the 14th. So anything that was highlighted that whole week, 11th through the 17th, any comments are going to show being posted 32 weeks previously at the time that those were screenshot. So when the person that screenshot those did those in July of 2023, it was going to show 32 weeks previous. So we've seen his first week, his first comment on the 3rd was going to show 34 weeks previous. Then the comments from the next week, 33 weeks previous. Now this 3rd week is going to show 32 weeks previous. So now we have a post from Pappa Rodger on December 21st. And can you guess how many weeks ago it's going to show that was from when the person screenshot it. If you said 31 weeks, you are correct, because now that's into the next week in December when he asked that question. And so those comments are all going to register as being done 31 weeks previously to when the person screenshot all of these. So once again, we look at the calendar. He posted his comment on the 21st. And so any comments that were replied to on that week would show 31 weeks out. So that week ending on the 3rd would show 34 weeks, week ending on the 10th, 33 weeks, week ending on the 17th, 32 weeks ago, and week ending on the 24th, 31 weeks ago. So let's go back to the comment that the person was asking me about. So it was the replies to a post from Pappa Rodger on December 9th. So here is those responses in question. And it was to a post Pappa Rodger made on December 9th. But if you look, the responses were made at 30 weeks prior to the screenshots. Okay? So we know that December 9th would have shown as 33 weeks prior to the screenshots. So these responses were done 30 weeks prior, which means they were made 3 weeks after the original post on December 9th. Well, what happened 3 weeks after that? Bryan Kohberger was arrested and his name became public. We'll go back and look at the calendar again. So here you go. The last week of December is highlighted. Any comments that were made that week would show as 30 weeks previous to when it was screenshot. So the first week would have shown 34, second week 33, third week 32, fourth week 31, and last week of December 30 weeks. So those comments were made that last week of December, and I don't believe they were made prior to the arrest date. I believe the person made those comments on the 30th when Kohberger got arrested, when his name became public. And here's another comment that was also screenshot by the same person. I'm assuming J is for justice. That says, interesting that OP chose start date for this address with month of August. He graduated June 22 from DeSales in PA and started fall semester at WSU for PhD. Lots of activity around second week of August. Blah, blah, blah. If you notice, it shows it was posted 30 weeks prior to the screenshot. All of that information is what came out when he got arrested. So it's obvious that those posts were not made December 9th. Those replies on there to whatever he posted on December 9th and beyond, those ones that show 30 weeks out were made after he was arrested, after his name came out. So no, there's no proof it was Bryan that was Pappa Rodgers. There's nobody that posted on December 9th that they knew his name was Bryan. Those comments were made 3 weeks after the fact. You just have to look at how Facebook looks and when you screenshot things, and it shows you how many weeks previously to when you're now looking at it. So I hope that helps. And like Kathy said, if he had been Pappa Rodger, the feds would have been all over that. They would have put that out there. It would have been used against him. There is no reason to believe he was Pappa Rodger. And actually, that Pappa Rodger person was wrong about quite a few things. They were just somebody that had a good guess on some things, just from looking at all of the publicly known information at the time. They were using intuition and had some good guesses. But it definitely was not Bryan Kohberger.